Do you find those after-dinner games between the generations exciting? Here's my favorite, Monopoly. Monopoly on the Truth. To play Monopoly on the Truth, all you need to do is to think that your opinion is better than everyone else's, and you don't even need a playing board, okay?
Okay, Boomer.
Well, actually, it's not okay, because though Monopoly on the Truth is exciting and agitating and aggravating and... Stop!
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer.
Okay, kid, let's go to work. But where? At home, at a coffee shop, or elsewhere? Should we go to a physical office or work remotely? Well, Carly North, a millennial, and OK Boomer Robert, that's me, met together both remotely and in person at the Society of Work in downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we're in the It was the day after Christmas, and not a creature was stirring except for Carly and me.
Hey
I
there,
looked
Robert.
up over my laptop screen at Carly way on the other side of the room, and for easy identification, I wore a price tag on the collar of my brand new checked shirt, as Carly pointed out.
Oh, yeah, looking sharp.
Yeah, looking sharp. We're at Society of Work. We both work here once a week. And Carly, I want to talk to you about the difference between during the good old days when we all worked in offices all of the time, as opposed to what we're doing right now, a lot of virtual work. Do you like this virtual work? Do you like doing things virtually? Or would you rather be in an office not one day a week, but 5 days a week?
That is a complex question, Robert. I have not worked in office full time since before COVID. Um, and I would have said before that I never wanted to work remote. Um, and now that I'm able to, I'm full-time remote. I come into this co-working space once a week, but I'm not meeting with any of my coworkers any of that time. And I would say that I would want a mix. I would want the opportunity to come in and socialize and network and work professionally with my peers. And then I love the flexibility that remote work offers, especially having a young family. So, on days when we need to flex time with a sick child or need to pick up my son early, can easily go home and finish out a day's work or be at home with him, etc. So I would say I would prefer a mix now. Can I say that?
You can say that. The boomer is approved.
Perfect.
I'm being sarcastic, of course. For me, as I say, when I was in broadcasting, I worked in newsrooms all the time. We had to go out and interview people. And in aviation, it was in a cockpit or maybe in a weather station. I've worked in those. The first time I've done anything remotely was when I wrote this novel about, based on my experiences as a radio and TV major at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. That was one of the top 5 radio and TV schools. Anyway, I had it translated into 6 languages, and I did all the translations via the internet. And I also Zoomed and Skyped with some of the translators. And I've got a translator, a friend of mine now, who we did our first Zoom session for this podcast. So it's all been remote, and it seems to work pretty well. However, I'm similar to you in that I'd like to go into an office periodically, like I'm doing now. It disciplines me. I have to dress better, even though that's not required. We can talk about office dress in a minute. But it forces me to make deadlines. I'm going to come here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, because I'm paying to come here. So I think going back to a combination of these two types of work techniques works for me.
Yep.
Now, as to office dress, I remember wearing a suit and tie in some of the jobs I worked at. And then in the 80s and 90s, I worked at jobs that did not require that, but we didn't walk in with sweatshirts and sweatpants. I do not feel psychologically comfortable going to an office looking too casual. I am more into, a dress type shirt. And I just bought this because it's not like the pinstripe shirts I used to wear. It's more of a, I don't know what it is, but I like it. So I put this on and came in here wearing this. What do you feel about dress attire in the workplace?
Hmm. And that differs with remote work and in-office work, in my opinion. So, from a suit and tie perspective, I think I've only ever worn a suit when I'm doing a really big presentation or interviews.
Mhm.
If I'm doing a big customer facing presentation, then of course I'll look my best to represent the company. But from a coming in the office perspective here at this co-working space, um, it's probably the most dressed up I get during my work week, unless there's those, outstanding items, or if I'm traveling with work.
Mhm.
So for me, I think it's more about comfort, professional looking, modesty. Um, and I don't like to wear a whole bunch of like branded items unless it's my company's logo. Um, just honestly for fear of upsetting people or, putting out the wrong image, but that's more of a personal thing. Now, when it comes to remote work, I always told my employees, as long as you are not unclothed, as long as you have clothes on, I don't care. Get on camera. I want to see you. I want to connect with you. I don't personally believe in um, not meeting on camera. I think it's really important to have those connections, but as long as they are modest, I don't care. I want to see them as a person. Um, and so, PJ pants, people can't see it. Cool. Wear your PJ pants, leggings, cool. But I do think from a approaching work perspective, the days where I get up, I put on lipstick, I dress in a maybe a more formal attire, even at home, where I'm not in my comfy pants. I am more productive. I am more confident going into my day. I feel like I'm more driven, even, and it's interesting that that all can come from an outfit.
Hmm. Interesting.
Hmm.
Based on my little faux pas with the label, I'm going to look down and yes, I am wearing my pants.
Yeah, good.
Glad to hear that. I feel the same way. Like when I'm at home, I'm walking around with sweatpants and I just don't really care what I look like unshaven. But once again, if you're going to be in public, I think it's necessary to pay attention. And this morning I could have paid more attention. But and I also don't wear designer things mainly because I don't want to pay for them. This cost me $7.50. It was on sale.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love a good sale.
Yeah, I am not much on trying to impress the Joneses or whatever that is. I just ignore that type of stuff. Now, the future. What do you think? Now, are you a millennial or a Z?
I'm a millennial.
Millennial. I mean, a
Hmm.
millennial.
Exactly.
What do you think of the baby boomers?
You know, that's a good question. And I've been trying to really think through any stereotypes I have in my head around baby boomers coming into this conversation. And, in my mind, baby boomers are really hardworking. They, yeah, they are focused on saving money. They may be more likely to buy the $7.50 shirt instead of, splurging on something nice. Um, and, I think about from a boomer perspective where a lot of our homegrown and individual operated companies are right now, and how I would guess, and I don't have the data, but I would guess a lot are owned by boomers. And just thinking through like what that transition will look like as other generations pick up the boomer companies. Um, and how likely those boomer owners are to release that control. Because my perception is also that there's a little bit of that control and, ownership over their work, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the pride in the work.
From my perspective, we boomers want to control everything. Every single, I'm joking, but my perspective on the boomers are that we have a tendency, because we're the oldest generation, to try to maintain control.
Mm-hmm.
When I think the younger generation should get in. I think it's unbalanced. Now, this was the largest generation in American history at the time. So it's natural when we get older that we would get fixed in our ways of thinking. That's why I like to be around younger people. Makes me a little more flexible.
Yeah. And I think that's every generation when they become the oldest generation,
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't think that's unique to boomers.
No,
I think that just is unique to that status of being the oldest generation.
yeah, the World War II generation was like that. That was what I grew up under. A lot of authoritarian. What do you think of authoritarian type of management?
I don't love it. I don't love a micromanager. I have been extremely blessed to have managers that are very trusting, very not necessarily hands off, but they trust that I will make the right decision. And if I don't, I'll acknowledge it and move on. So thankfully, I haven't had to deal with a lot of authoritarian leaders. It's not my style. And quite honestly, it would drain me if I tried to be an authoritarian leader.
It was for me very difficult. I grew up under an authoritarian family, mother and father, and I've worked with authoritarians, and I don't like it myself. What it does is it knocks me off balance because I have to think more about how to deal with them rather than if you're dealing with someone who's more open, accepting. So I have to put together a strategy rather than doing the things that I really want to do. So that's the problem with authoritarianism. I also think, from what I can see, we're Zooming, even though we're in the same room. We're Zooming, but we are. It would be difficult to work under an authoritarian via Zoom, don't you think? Meaning, it would be hard for them to control you.
If there's the right access to metrics, I think, and if it were a production-based job, I think it would be possible for a leader to be authoritarian, because it's more of looking at the work and the data around it versus looking at the person sitting at their desk doing their job or sitting on the line doing the, production-based role. I think it is possible.
But would that chase away employees?
Yes. Yes, I think leadership has a huge role in employee happiness and satisfaction.
And particularly now when we're in the digital age, instead of an assembly line, building things where you could have somebody come down and go, okay, I want that assembled differently. Well, any final thoughts, Carly?
I am looking forward to a return to work type environment from my company. I have specifically sought out this co-working space to network and to get that vibe of having to get out of the house and drive into work and the whole routine. And now that I'm in that routine, I'm ready for an office to open up where it's not just other people I can network with, it's my coworkers and it's my peers, and we can problem solve. And so that I'm not only limited to traveling to them, instead it's a regular networking and exposure. And but at the same time, maybe this is a true millennial thing. I want my cake and I want to eat it too. I want the flexibility to work at home some days and the flexibility to come in and network some days.
Sounds to me like that's a good mix. That's what I would prefer to do if I had a choice. You do things at home at your leisure and then come to work and really buckle down. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Carly, it was fun. It was nice talking with you. What have we agreed on? I've had sometimes problems at the end of one of these podcasts telling people what we agreed on. What did we agree on?
That there's benefit in working remote and working in office. We both find that maybe doing so full time could not be as beneficial for us. But that may be our personality types and why we click. We agreed that dressing up for work, dress for success, made us feel better, and helped our production. And that neither of us work well with authoritarian leadership.
Hey, you got it. You did a better job of putting it together than I did, and I'm a podcaster and boomer. I feel humbled. Carly, I'll see you next week because we'll be working in the same building and maybe the same day.
It sounds good.
It's a pleasure. Both Millennial Carly North and me, OK Boomer, work out of our homes and one day a week at the Society of Work located at the Etny Building in Chattanooga. And as you heard, we agreed on just about everything. So join us again soon for another OK Boomer with Robert, where we bring the generations together to agree on anything. I'm your OK Boomer, Robert Brickman.
Okay, Boomer!